Hi, I'm Emily Lou here, back for more great video content from Cognism, the premium B2B data providers. This week, I'm going to run through some top tips for choosing your sales data provider. So get ready for the inside scoop from those in the know. Let's start with a scenario that might be familiar to a lot of salespeople watching this. You troll through LinkedIn looking for new prospects. You find a promising new prospect and their contact details. You dial their number and there's no connection. What stopped you from connecting you with your prospect? That's right, data. If you don't have the right data, and that's things like phone numbers, email addresses, and job titles, then you'll never be able to connect with the people that you want. But all is not lost. Recently, there's been an explosion in the sales data marketplace. There are so many providers out there right now, all making claims like they're the biggest or most accurate. So how do you know which ones to go with? There's no big secret. It's all about the questions that you ask. And here at Cognism, we know what the right questions are because we get asked them every single day. So if you want to look out for a data provider for your sales team, these 7 questions are the ones to keep in mind. Starting with, how accurate is your data? This has got to be your number one consideration when looking at a sales data provider. As I showed you earlier in that scenario, if your data isn't accurate, it can cause all sorts of problems, like your reps wasting time trying to connect with people who have changed jobs or companies, your pipeline is drying up, your key accounts being lost to competitors, and a fall in meetings booked and monthly revenue. So you need to know how accurate your provider's data is, and these are the things you need to ask them. How do you source your data? Ideally, you want as much of it as possible to come from well-known, reputable sources. How much of the data has been self-entered? When people volunteer information, it's more likely to be correct. And how often does your data get refreshed? People change jobs a lot. You don't want your team to be prospecting into decision makers who have long since moved on. Moving on to number 2 is, what can I do with your data? Obviously, it's great to have accurate sales data in your business, but you need to be able to do things with it. If you can't create cold calling or email lists off the back of it, then there's no good. If you can't filter down and create personas that match your ideal customers, then you'll struggle to target the people you want. To get a handle on this, ask your provider the following. How can you manipulate their data? How many data points do they monitor, and are you able to filter down? And is their solution compatible with your company's CRM? Your reps must have the ability to transfer information quickly and regularly refresh the data they generate. Moving on to number 3, what insights can your data give me? How do you know when is a good time to contact a prospect? When do they actually want to hear from you rather than give you the brush off? It's the eternal secret of B2B sales. But did you know you can find clues by looking at companies and their activity? If companies behave in a certain way, it's a signal that they could be interested in you and your product. Look out for events like these. When a company receives a new round of funding, when a company hires a new CEO, when a company has just acquired another, and when a company relocates to a new office. There's often a lot of movement inside companies too. If a contact you know well gets a promotion, they might have more scope to do business. You might need to get to know their replacement as well. Now, we call these sales triggers. They're basically any event that makes a sale more likely. And if your data provider is monitoring things like company news and financial insights, they could be able to highlight these sales triggers as they happen, allowing you to reap the rewards. So what should you ask them? Ask your provider about their insight and intelligence options, and especially if they provide intent data. Number 4 is, how complete is your data? Another important thing to think about when talking to your data provider is how in-depth their data is. The deeper it goes, the more information you can use to target new prospects. Some things to ask about them are: what territories does your data cover? In most cases, you'll want to use a provider that's got good global coverage because your sales strategy may change over time. Do you offer data on the tech stacks that companies use? With this data, you can find businesses that are using solutions like yours and reach out to them with a better pitch. And lastly, do you offer direct dial phone numbers? These are like gold dust to sales teams, especially in this whole working from home era. Every sales data provider will supply different data points, but you should always ask them about the finer details. Number 5, how compliant is your data? We've all heard about the eye-watering fines dished out to firms for breaching data protection laws or not taking the proper care over the data that they hold. Did you know that the top fine allowed under the GDPR is 20 million euros or 4% of annual turnover? Scary, right? So how do you avoid being served a crushing fine and ending up as headline news around the world? It's simple. You need to investigate your provider's compliance status. These are the questions to ask. Are you registered with national or international regulators? Are you a fully GDPR compliant data provider? Do you use GDPR compliant CRM and storage software? Does your data address all B2B consent requirements? Do you collect only relevant and necessary data for legitimate business interests? Do you keep detailed and accurate records of how you collect and process data? And have you partnered with any legal entities in order to ensure compliance? Number 6, how much does your data cost? Price is obviously a significant factor in choosing a sales data provider, and like most things in life, you get what you pay for. My advice is don't just go for the cheapest option. If you do, you'll be doing your sales team a disservice. One useful thing to do here is calculate your return on investment. Ask yourself, what's good data worth to your business? You'll have a figure to shop around with. Another tip from me, the best data vendors will be confident in their data and their offering around it. So they should offer you a guarantee on accuracy. Look out for that in the small print. Lastly, number 7, what's the provider like to work with? When weighing up which sales data provider to go with, think about what they're like to work with. It's a business transaction, but you also want to forge a long-term relationship. Do their values align with yours? Start by evaluating your provider on their customer success. Take it from me, data solutions are complex, especially when you're using them for the first time. Make sure your vendor is strong at onboarding, as well as having a support team to help with any further queries down the line. Review sites like G2 are excellent for judging how well a company treats its users. You can also compare your provider with others in its space, which one comes out on top. So there you have it. There it is. These are the top questions to ask your sales data provider. What do you think of my list? Are there any questions you would like to add? Leave your thoughts in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you're looking for more info on B2B data and what it can do for your sales team, then check out my data playlist. I put it in the link in the comments. My next video will be on cold calling masterclass, so don't forget to subscribe to the Cognism channel because you won't want to miss it. See you then.